Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. If there is one person I really sympathize with in the Ruto administration, currently that person is the PS in the Ministry of State Department for Housing and Urban Development, Mr. Charles Hinga. This is the man who has been given the load and the burden of trying to coerce Kenyans to deduct 3% of their salaries and wages under the guise of giving them affordable housing. And when Kenyans cry foul when they go to the streets to protest against this move to deduct their 3% of the money, the person they see in front, the person who is the face of everything, is Charles Hinga. And in their usual characteristics, I have realized that they are looking for Raila to legitimize this illegal move. Charles Hinga was being interviewed at Spice FM, and they really dragged in Raila's name, hoping that this will legitimize everything and maybe gives it a clean bill of health. As you understand, this government is looking for legitimacy in everything from Raila Odinga. The day Raila will recognize this government as legitimate, that is the day when William Ruto and Erected will have a very sound sleep. Currently, I don't think they are having enough sleep. Looking at the health of our president, things are really thicker on his side. Of late, I have heard Raila recognizing William Ruto as the president, or rather recognizing the Kenya Kwanza regime, and I think that is good news to Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. The PS was being interviewed at Spice FM, and this is what he said. The headline there is PS Hinga accuses Raila of changing tune on housing levy after supporting it during the campaigns. It goes on to say that State Department for Housing and Urban Development Principal Secretary Charles Hinga has accused the Azimio Party and its presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga of changing their tune on the housing levy after supporting it during the campaigns. I'm reading the third paragraph, which says, speaking during an interview with Spice FM, PS Hinga recounted a meeting with the former Prime Minister way back in 2012 where they discussed the housing deficit in Kenya, saying Raila was very passionate about the plight of Kenyans living in informal settlements in the country. And then the last paragraph says, we may disagree on how we want to solve a problem, but we must start by agreeing we have a problem. 4 million Kenyans living in informal settlements. These are Kenyans living in places where they lack basic services, and when the government comes up with a solution to the same, the affluent and wealthy want to decide for the less fortunate. That is what he said. Now, maybe PS Charles is imagining that he is telling us something new. I want to submit to you that whatever he's saying is not new. And if they sat down and crafted this narrative to maybe ensure that this will legitimize and sanitize their dirty move, then it will not work. I want to begin by saying that, one, Raila has been a member of parliament in Kibera. Back then it was called Langata constituency, before it was divided into Kibra and Langata, I think. Happened with Tongojiduni. That place is partly, in fact 3/4 is informal settlement. And Raila understands the plight of those people, and he has talked about it over the years. PS is saying that we have to agree that we have a problem, there is no problem with that. Even if you ask the Azimio fraternity, they will tell you that yes, there is a problem. The only difference here is the manner in which they want to give a remedy to the problem. I don't want to speak for Raila. I don't want to deny that at one point he must have supported the move to give Kenyans good housing, because they even did it together. This is something that they began with Mwai Kibaki in the coalition government. And I have mentioned before that when the Kenya Kwanza team are talking about how Kibaki managed the economy, they do not want to mention that they were with Raila, but the fact is they did it together. So this is something that Raila Odinga initiated together with Mwai Kibaki. There are a few things that Hinga must understand. There must have been a possibility that Raila wanted the same thing that they want to do. But he must note that one, if you want to give people houses, you can't compel them. Maybe that would have been the difference between Raila's way of doing it and Ruto's way of doing it. It must be voluntary, because there are people who are not ready. Getting those houses is not a priority to them. Number two, the situation that we are in today does not warrant any other unnecessary deduction, because when William Ruto is talking about deducting 3% of someone's salary, there is a bill pending in Parliament where they want to impose other taxes on basic products and basic commodities, which means people will be buying the basic commodities at a very exorbitant prices. The cost of living is just too high. Subsidies have been removed. So I believe that the Azimio fraternity is making noise because this thing is coming at a wrong time. It could be a good move, good energy channeled at a very wrong time. We all agree that we have deficit for houses. Kenyans have got a right to clean water and good housing. So there is no disagreement on that. No one is refuting. So he's not telling us something new. But I also understand that this administration has always crafted a narrative of blame game. Whenever they have been cornered on something, they will either say that the failure is as a result of the previous regime. You must hear the name of either Uhuru Kenyatta or Raila Odinga or both. When they are unable to pay the civil servants, they say it is because they are servicing loans that were left behind by Uhuru Kenyatta. What they don't say is that Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were in the same government. For 10 years, William Ruto received salary, courtesy of taxpayers' money, as a deputy president. So he cannot really blame Uhuru solely for the failures, but takes credit on the achievements of the Ruto government. So on this, they are driving in, on this he is really driving in the name of Raila Odinga, so that when people realize that Raila was supporting this, then they will say maybe it is a good thing. Even the Azimio fraternity who have got their aspersions about this, maybe will start giving it another look that, well, if Raila supported it, maybe this can work. Number two, they want Raila to look like someone who keeps on changing goalposts, because as you've seen there, he's complaining that Raila supported it but is now rejecting this because he lost elections. You see how they're dragging in his name so that he might look as someone who's still bitter, someone who's looking for the downfall of this administration. But one thing they must understand, that we have reached a point where Kenyans are taking initiative without looking at the politician. Yesterday we saw unions going out to the streets to reject, to lament to this government and to oppose the punitive taxes that are being proposed on them. They didn't wait for any politician to call upon them to go to the streets. They just felt that enough is enough. So even if Raila supported this, whether it was in 2012 or which year they're talking about it, we cannot legitimize this. We cannot sanitize it. We cannot just take in something, or they cannot force it down our throat and telling us that someone supported it. Whether it was Uhuru Kenyatta who supported it then, right now Kenyans have rejected it and they have given their reasons. I remember today Miguna gave an unsolicited advice to Ruto. And he told him, don't argue with the people, listen to them. You cannot force taxes on people and they're telling you they don't want it. So our good PS must understand that it doesn't matter who supported it. Kenyans have said they don't want it, and this is not pegged on who supported it and who did not support it. Kenyans have also given this administration a leeway. In fact, from where I sit, if you ask the president and his deputy what they think about Kenyans, I'm sure they'll tell you that Kenyans are easily gullible. You can easily deceive them. You just come up with crafted fallacious stories and they will buy it. This is what they did when they were campaigning, blaming Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga for every predicament and giving them fake promises that within 100 days when I take oath of office, I will ensure that the prices of basic commodities come down. They will be clapping and applauding you. Then when you get to the office, change the narrative. For example, you can tell them that I will be introducing cheap phones that cost 500 shillings. When the time comes, you blame the previous regime. Tell them that I will be introducing gas that cost 500 shillings. When you are cornered, you change the tune and say I meant the container, mtungi. And they know that it works for them because Kenyans have decided to be cheap. They have allowed Mr. Politician to cheat them, to lie to them, and to misuse them. If we don't stop this, then we will still continue to languish in poverty. And one thing that we are forgetting, that once Mr. Politician has gotten to the heights and is now in the office, looking for them, finding them is very difficult. Before you reach them, you shall have inhaled a lot of tear gas. So for the PS to start dragging in the name of the Zimio fraternity, the name of Raila, they feel that that Raila will sanitize. They want to paint him in bad faith, and they know that once they say this, Kenyans will buy it. There are people who can go without food. They will be very bitter. But when Mr. Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua come to them and tell them that the reason why you are hungry is because Uhuru Kenyatta ate all your money, they will be very happy. They will be walking there saying that, I'm hungry because Uhuru ate my money, Uhuru misused my money. And this is the narrative that they have crafted. The good thing is that many Kenyans are now realizing that we were hoodwinked. They are now realizing that every project that was talked about was just a pipe dream. And so Kenyans must tell the PS that this is about the people and not about Raila. Whatever they want to play, whichever politics that they want to play, to what level, let them play it. But Kenyans are tired. Puna amechoka. Let them listen to the voice of the people, because the voice of the people is the voice of God.